Today, the 1068. The 1068. Is it called the 1068 or the 0168? Certainly isn't the 1000 and... just forget it. I'll call it the 1068. The A1068 is a number that is now used for many different types of roads and standards across Northumberland. It connects the A1 with the A1. No, really it does. I'll show you here. At 29.8 miles long, it's a nice drive. The road goes from Seaton Burn to Alnwick via a number of towns and villages, mainly along the Northumberland coastal route. Theoretically, you could travel its length to avoid the bad parts of the A1 and enjoy the scenery, but at 20 minutes of extra travel time or more, and 6 extra miles, it isn't really worth it, to be fair. The A1068 came into being in the 1924 road renumbering project. It didn't start at Seaton Burn though, it started in Ashington and took over from the B1336 and the B1337 at that time. It was felt that the road wasn't justified to be a B road, and the A1068 came into existence, along with most of the other quadruple-digit A1 roads. In the early 1950s, it was extended south, taking over from the A1078, B6345, B1333, A194, A195 and A196. Yes, the A194 and the A195 was in Northumberland originally, and they lost their numbers. They were reallocated to Gateshead and South Tyneside when the new roads came along, the new A1 bypass and the new A194 all the way up into South Shields. In 1965, the newfangled motorways were coming, and the new town plan of Cramlington was put in place by William Leach et al. Therefore, the A1, 189 and A19 were all going to be added, upgraded, changed, extended, etc. This led to the A1068 being changed, with an additional carriageway being added to the west of Cramlington, making it into a dual carriageway secondary route in that section. And onto the actual route. From Seaton Burn is a dual carriageway, and that goes towards the new Arcot Manor housing development in Cramlington. Part of the road here is a single carriageway, with promises of an upgrade to complete the dual carriageway from Seaton Burn to Plessy Wood soon. Or if you're still watching this in 2033, soon. From Plessy Woods to the A1068, it duplexes with the A192 through Hertford Bank. I can't find any evidence of the dual carriageway continuing north here, just the existing roundabout. But it appears that the roundabout is big enough to take the extra lane if it needed to do so, so maybe they were just planning ahead. The bridge at Hertford is another not built with modern traffic in mind, either from sheer size of vehicle or the speed in which it was approached. In 1969, it was considered that a diversion would be required to cross the River Blythe at the best and most economical crossing point downstream of the bridge. But so far this has not materialised. Bob's Bridges, Robert Robson, 1998. To be fair, he's still right now. You can tell by the roundabout that they were going to build something considerably bigger. A late medieval bridge originally, although an earlier bridge dating from the early 13th century is thought to have existed here. The present bridge has 3 arches and was widened in 1688 and largely rebuilt, being strengthened and widened further in 1904 to carry the road traffic. Over the River Blythe and then on to Bedlington, diverging from the 192. It's a nice little country road that's had its speed limit changed quite a few times, from national down to 40 and then partially back to 50. We then pass through Bedlington and then the village of Choppington. I say pass through, it's really all merged together here, and even the sign is misplaced and in the wrong location to say Bedlington. Nobody really knows where the village ends and the town starts anymore. Now we're on to Scotland Gate and then Guidepost, followed by Sheepwash and over the River Wansbeck and into Ashington over this single lane bridge. This bridge carries the traffic from Guidepost to Ashington. This is a single carriageway bridge with tidal flow controlled by traffic lights. A medieval bridge also stood here, similar to Hertford Bank, It was just upstream to the present bridge and replaced an old stone arch bridge. There is a 2-span footbridge alongside the upstream side, using part of the old stone bridge as a foundation for its pier. The new bridge was assembled nearby and swung into position using a crane. A weight restriction of 9 tons was imposed in 1968 until strengthening could be carried out, and the footbridge was also constructed at the same time. A major repair was carried out in 2008 when the bridge was closed for many weeks. The bridge has now been painted green. To be fair, when they rebuilt it in 2008, they should have really upgraded it, but it was felt that it was easier to stick traffic lights on it than what it was to change the bridge completely. We duplex again with the 197 here at a junction, and as quickly as we've joined, we turn off and head north again towards Linton and Ellington. At the next roundabout, the A1068 joins here and the A1068 takes over as the primary route. I'm not really sure why the A189 wasn't just continued here, as it was finished, as we found out in the other video, in 1974. Why didn't it just continue? But it wasn't. Surely it would have been easier to renumber the signs. We then go through a series of small bypasses: Ellington, Widrington Station, Widrington, Redrow and Hadston, up into Radcliffe and then onwards to Amble. We head into Amble and a new retail park is getting, or rather has been, built here. They've kind of stopped at building Morrison's, but you feel that there should be a lot more. This area is isolated, with a limited bus service and no real big shops nearby. God bless the internet, I guess. Through a few twists of the road, and we move on to the River Corkey. Corket? Corky? I don't know. I'll just leave this in. A good view of the mouth of the river, and up to Warkworth Castle. Through Warkworth, and then over the river on a new alignment over a new bridge. Warkworth Old Bridge. The bridge is from the late 14th century, and one of only 2 incorporated in a fortified bridge tower, later a toll house, situated at the south end. The road is only 11 feet wide here, and has pedestrian refuges built above the triangular cutwaters. There are 2 arches and the roadway is cobbled. The bridge is now only for use by pedestrians since the opening of a new bridge, and is Grade 2 listed. It replaced a previous stone bridge on this site, possibly even from the 10th century, or maybe the 12th century, when they built Warkworth Castle. The castle was built over an earlier castle, made of timber, dating from Saxon times, possibly the 7th or even the 8th century. The castle stands on a mound at the top of the hill, with views down the castle street to the Norman church of St. Lawrence. There are also fine views of the river to the west of here. Warkworth New Bridge. The new bridge just east of the old one was constructed in the mid-1960s. The old bridge had long been a serious bottleneck to traffic, owing to the very restricted width and the gatehouse at the south end. I can't imagine people ever trying to drive across this, since this is the only access across the river, in massive trucks. I don't quite understand where they would have gone, but no doubt somebody will know. The new bridge is made of concrete and steel and is 45 feet wide, enough for 2 lanes of traffic. Girders came from Middlesbrough, and the facing stones used on the retaining wall on the north side was partly constructed using stones reclaimed from the demolished Longhorton railway station, closed in 1962, from a few miles north. We then dance along the country roads, parallel with the East Coast Main Line. On to Hipsburn. At the roundabout, on the left, is Alnwick railway station, and on the right is Alnwick. Shouldn't it be just called the Hipsburn railway station? This is where you can get a train north to Edinburgh, or south to Newcastle, because we all know there's nothing south of Newcastle. Across the open legs of the River Aln, or should it be called the River Ann? It's Alnwick after all, not Alnwick, so maybe I'm right. Lesbury Old Bridge. Until 2004, the A1068 was carried over this bridge, sometimes known as Lesbury Mill Bridge. The road is now in use for pedestrian only. It's of 15th century origin and was once just 10 feet wide, but this was increased on the east side to 21 feet in 1844. It's very difficult also here to imagine that this old crossing once carried buses and other heavy traffic, but now the new bridge takes all these vehicles, and the old bridge, now a scheduled ancient monument Grade 1 listed, is a quiet reminder of the recent past. Lesbury New Bridge. Built in 2004, the new bridge came at a cost of £3.1 million. It was seen as a scheme of wider regeneration and improvements on the A1068 from Amble to Alnwick, and it replaced not only the old bridge but also the pedestrian crossing. We then follow the road up and onto the edge of Alnwick. We can see new houses being built here on the right hand side. They are pretty desperate for housing round here. The rent is astonishingly high and the mortgages are even higher. With the cost of living rising, they do need a lot more facilities around here really, and housing is in desperate need. We arrive at a roundabout, and to stay on the 1068 we then turn left and we go back down towards the A1, and there we are. We've rejoined the A1. Well, that is the A1068, an unusual road that has primary and non-primary statuses. It visits lots of towns and villages and gives you a nice view of the North Sea and of the coastline. If you like what you watched today, why not like and subscribe? I hope that you have a great day. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks for watching. Bye. Or if you're still watching this in 2050, soon.